Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where small coins tell big stories. If you've ever picked up a dime and thought, it's just 10 cents, right? Well, think again. Because today, we're diving deep into a coin that might just be hiding in your pocket change right now. A coin that most people overlook every single day. But if you've got the right one, and I mean the right one, it could be worth a life-changing amount of money. We're talking about the 1967 Roosevelt dime. No mint mark. No flashy design. Just a small silver-colored coin with the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. But here's the thing, this humble dime has secrets. And some of those secrets could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. In this video, we're going to uncover everything you need to know about the 1967 Roosevelt dime, what makes it special, how to spot a valuable one, and how you could potentially turn a simple coin into a massive payday. So get comfortable, coin hunters. This is going to be one fascinating ride through American coin history, minting mystery, and the hidden value of a dime most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up. Let's start with a little context. The year was 1967. America was in the middle of major cultural and political shifts. The Vietnam War was raging, civil rights movements were making headlines, and the summer of love was in full swing. But behind the scenes, something subtle, but very important, was happening at the United States Mint. Just a few years earlier, in 1965, the U.S. Mint had stopped using silver in its dimes and quarters. This was a major change. Before that, all dimes contained 90% silver. But rising silver prices and coin hoarding had forced the government to switch to a copper-nickel-clad composition. And with that switch came another change: no mint marks. That's right, between 1965 and 1967, the U.S. Mint deliberately removed all mint marks from coins. Why? To discourage collectors from hoarding coins by mint origin. The government wanted to make sure coins kept circulating and didn't disappear into collector vaults. So even though the 1967 dime was produced at different locations, including Philadelphia and Denver, there are no mint marks on any official coins from that year. So, you might be thinking, if there are no mint marks, how could one be valuable? This is where it gets interesting. Even though mint marks were officially excluded in 1967, strange things still happened. Minting errors. Strikes on wrong planchets. Misalignments. Off-center strikes. And here's the twist, a small number of 1967 Roosevelt dimes have been found with unusual characteristics that make them stand out, big time. We're talking about coins that were never meant to exist. Coins that somehow slipped through the cracks of the Mint's strict policies. Coins that collectors go wild for. Let's talk about some of those error types, because this is where your eyes need to be sharp. Point 1: major type of error collectors hunt for is called a double die. That's when the coin's image is stamped twice, slightly off register, creating a shadowed or doubled effect. If you ever find a 1967 Roosevelt dime with doubling on Roosevelt's profile, especially around the date or lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust, you could be holding a double die error, and those are extremely rare. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. That's when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, and part of the design ends up missing or shifted to one side. The more off-center it is, without losing the date, the more valuable it can be. Then there's the wrong planchet error. This happens when a coin is accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal blank. Imagine a dime that was struck on a penny planchet. Or even more bizarre, on a foreign coin blank. These are exceptionally rare but known to exist, even in 1967. But here's the thing, you won't find these coins neatly labeled or sorted in a shop. Most of them are out there, in circulation. In jars, drawers, and boxes of old change. That's why coin collectors and treasure hunters are always on the lookout, searching through rolls of dimes, hoping to find that one miraculous mistake that turns 10 cents into a jackpot. So how can you tell if your 1967 dime is valuable? First, check the condition. A coin in mint state, especially graded MS 65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can command significantly higher prices, sometimes hundreds or thousands, even without major errors. That's because 1967 was a high-production year, and most coins were heavily circulated. Finding one that's in pristine, untouched condition is very uncommon. Second, examine it under magnification. Look closely at the lettering, the date, and Roosevelt's features. Any unusual doubling, missing details, or distortions could point to a valuable variety. Third, weigh it. A standard 1967 dime should weigh 2.27 grams. If your coin is significantly heavier or lighter, it might have been struck on a different planchet, which can increase its value immensely, and if you suspect you have something rare, get it graded. Authentication is key when it comes to high-value coins. A coin certified by a reputable grading company not only proves authenticity, but also dramatically increases what a collector is willing to pay for it. You might be wondering, how much can one of these rare 1967 dimes actually be worth? Let me put it this way. While most 1967 Roosevelt dimes are worth their face value, or maybe a few dollars in top condition, there are exceptional specimens out there that defy expectations. And one such coin, a 1967 Roosevelt dime with a rare minting anomaly, verified, professionally graded, and presented in near-perfect condition, has been valued at a staggering $75,000. That's right. $75,000, for a dime. Just imagine, a coin smaller than your thumb. 10 cents in your hand, worth more than a luxury car, more than a year's salary, maybe even more than your mortgage. And it could be sitting right now in a coin jar in your house. Or in your grandfather's collection. Or in a roll of coins from the bank. That's the magic of numismatics. The thrill of the hunt. The possibility that tucked away in your spare change is a rare piece of history that the world forgot, but you discovered. Today's episode is going to blow your mind. You've probably handled it dozens, maybe hundreds, of times. A small silver-colored coin, just 10 cents in face value, often taken for granted. You see it at the grocery store, in your pocket, in a vending machine, or maybe it slips between the cushions of your couch. But what if I told you, one of those tiny coins from 1980, if it has the right features, could be worth more than a brand new Tesla? Or even a down payment on your dream home? Yes, we're talking about the 1980 Roosevelt dime, and specifically the ones with mint marks that have a twist. This isn't just a coin, it's a mystery, a piece of American history, and potentially, your ticket to a jaw-dropping payday. So don't blink. Because somewhere out there is a coin worth more than you ever imagined, and it might be hiding in your change jar right now. Let's take a journey back to 1980, a year of transition, tension, and technological change in America. Jimmy Carter was president. Mount St. Helens was rumbling in Washington. The United States was dealing with inflation, energy crises, and international uncertainty. But in the middle of it all, millions and millions of coins were being pressed in the mints of Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Roosevelt dime had already been in circulation for over 3 decades at that point. It was introduced in 1946, right after the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt, America's 32nd president. His face on the dime was more than a tribute, it was symbolic. Roosevelt had led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II and was a powerful advocate for polio research, hence the March of Dimes connection. His presence on the smallest coin carried the weight of enormous historical significance. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1980 Roosevelt dime so special. First off, it's important to know that 1980 was the first year that the Philadelphia Mint started using a P mint mark on the Roosevelt dime. Before that, coins struck in Philly didn't carry a mint mark at all. So if you find a 1980 dime without a mint mark, your first thought might be, this must be normal. But not so fast. Here's where things get really interesting. Coins from 1980 with mint marks, whether P, D, or S, have varieties and errors that drive collectors wild. And believe it or not, there are a few out there that, due to minting mistakes, rarity, or condition, are worth far more than 10 cents. In fact, one of these dimes has been appraised at a truly unbelievable value, but we'll get to that at the end. Trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Let's start with the Philadelphia Mint mark, P. As mentioned, 1980 was the very first year it appeared on a dime. That alone makes any 1980 P dime a point of interest for collectors. But what if the P is missing due to a minting error? Or what if it's doubled? What if it's been struck off center? What if the coin was struck on the wrong planchet? These are the kind of things that can send a coin's value into the stratosphere. Then there's the Denver Mint, represented by a small D mint mark. Now, coins from Denver in 1980 were produced in high numbers, but that doesn't mean they're all the same. Some have been discovered with die breaks, clipped planchets, or strong strike doubling, features that dramatically increase their appeal to collectors. And don't forget about the San Francisco Mint. In 1980, it mostly produced proof coins. These were not intended for circulation. But once in a while, a proof coin ends up out in the wild. If you find a 1980 Roosevelt dime with an S mint mark in circulation, and it's in proof condition, you could be holding a very rare escapee from a collector's set. But let's dig deeper into what really makes a 1980 Roosevelt dime valuable. There are 4 main factors that you need to look out for. Condition. A coin in uncirculated condition, especially graded MS67 or higher by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, is far more valuable than a worn-out dime from your change purse. Surface quality, sharpness of detail, and absence of wear matter. A dime in mint state could fetch hundreds, sometimes thousands, depending on the rarity of its features. Minting errors. This is where things get really exciting. Some 1980 Roosevelt dimes have shown up with dramatic mint errors, like a double die obverse, DDO, where Roosevelt's profile or the lettering looks doubled. Other examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, missing clad layers, or even being struck on penny or foreign coin blanks. These types of errors can skyrocket the value of a coin from pocket change to serious collector gold. Proof versus circulation. Proof coins from 1980, with their mirror-like backgrounds and frosted details, are generally found in sets. But when they escape into circulation, collectors take notice. And if one has an error on top of being a proof? That's a jackpot. Rarity and demand. Sometimes it's not just about what the coin is, it's about what collectors want. If a particular variety is known to exist in extremely low quantities, demand drives the price higher and higher. The Roosevelt dime series is highly collectible, and 1980 is a key year due to the first-time use of the P mint mark. That makes any rare variation from this year a hot ticket item. So, how do you find out if your 1980 Roosevelt dime is worth more than 10 cents? Start by grabbing a magnifying glass, or even better, a coin loop. Look closely at the mint mark. Is it missing? Is it doubled? Does the coin look unusual in any way? Then weigh the coin. A regular dime should weigh 2.27 grams. If yours weighs significantly more or less, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet. Next, examine the coin's surface. Does it look brand new? No scratches, no dullness, no wear? If so, you may be holding a mint state example, and those are worth sending in for grading. Now, listen closely. Because somewhere in the coin collecting world, there exists a 1980 Roosevelt dime that checks all the boxes. It's in pristine condition. It contains a unique and rare error. It's professionally graded. And because of these extraordinary factors, it's not worth 10 cents, not $100, not even 10,000. One of these elusive and coveted dimes from 1980 has been valued at an astonishing $85,000. That's right. $85,000 for one tiny coin. And that's why, every time you come across a dime, especially one from 1980, you should pause, take a second look, and really study it. Because tucked away in your spare change could be a dime that changes your life. Today, we're diving deep into one of the tiniest coins in your pocket that might just hold a gigantic secret, a secret that could be worth more than your car, more than your yearly salary, maybe even more than you ever imagined. That's right. We're about to uncover the incredible story behind the 1977 Roosevelt dime. It may seem like an ordinary coin to most people. Just another 10 cents. Tossed in a jar. Slid across a counter. Forgotten in the bottom of your drawer. But for those who know what to look for, this little dime could actually be worth thousands, possibly even life-changing amounts, and trust me, you're going to want to stay tuned all the way to the end of this video, because I'll be revealing just how much the rarest version of this coin has sold for. Hint: it's enough to buy a brand new luxury SUV, in cash. Let's begin our journey with a simple question. What's so special about a Roosevelt dime from 1977? Well, to answer that, we've got to set the scene. The year is 1977. Jimmy Carter has just taken office as President of the United States. Star Wars hits theaters for the first time, changing movies forever. Elvis Presley performs his final concert. And while all of that is happening, the United States Mint is quietly producing millions upon millions of coins for circulation, including dimes. The Roosevelt dime had already been around for over 30 years at that point. First minted in 1946, the dime honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who guided the country through both the Great Depression and World War II. His likeness was chosen to appear on the dime because of his personal fight against polio and his support for the March of Dimes, a campaign aimed at eradicating the disease. Now, back to 1977. The Roosevelt dime that year was produced at 3 major locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark on a coin tells you where it was made. A D stands for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and a P, well, starting in 1980 the P became the official mint mark for Philadelphia, but in 1977, coins from Philly had no mint mark at all. So if you've got a 1977 Roosevelt dime and you don't see any mint mark, that means it came from Philadelphia. But don't assume it's common just yet. There are some incredible exceptions and hidden details that could change everything. So what exactly should you be looking for in a 1977 dime? Let's break it down. There are 4 major things that make a coin valuable, especially when we're talking about a dime from the 1970s. First, condition. This is huge. If your dime looks brand new, no scratches, no wear, bright luster, that's a good sign. Coins in what's called mint state or uncirculated condition can be worth exponentially more than the same coin with heavy circulation. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC use a scale from 1 to 70, and a 1977 dime graded MS67 or above is extremely rare. Only a tiny fraction of these coins have survived in perfect condition. Second, mint errors. This is where things get really exciting. Imagine a coin that was struck off-center, or double-struck, or has a missing clad layer. These kinds of minting mistakes can turn a 10-cent coin into something worth thousands. For the 1977 dime, there have been reports of all sorts of fascinating errors: double die obverse, partial collars, off-metal strikes, and more. Some even show die cracks or misaligned dies, creating wild visual effects that drive collectors crazy. Third, planchet mistakes. What's a planchet, you ask? It's the blank metal disc that a coin is struck on. Occasionally, a dime might be mistakenly struck on a planchet meant for another denomination, or even a foreign coin. Imagine finding a 1977 Roosevelt dime struck on a penny planchet. The coin would be the wrong color, maybe the wrong weight, and that little error could mean big money. Fourth, low mintage proofs or accidental releases. In 1977, the San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the Roosevelt dime. These are coins made with special dies and polished to a mirror finish, intended for collectors and never meant to enter general circulation. But sometimes, mistakes happen. Every once in a while, a proof coin ends up in your change. That's the equivalent of finding a Picasso at a garage sale, and guess what? The rarest, most valuable dimes from 1977 are the ones that combine 2 or more of these factors: stunning condition plus a rare mint error, or an off-metal strike plus a proof finish, or a no-mint mark version with an anomaly never seen before. Those are the coins that make headlines. Those are the coins that auction houses fight over. And those are the coins that could turn a casual coin collection into a windfall. So now that you know what to look for, how do you find one? Start simple. Go through your change. Search coin rolls from the bank. Dig through that old coffee can or shoebox your grandparents kept tucked away in the closet. Look closely at every 1977 dime. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Weigh it, should be around 2.27 grams. Check the edge, is it fully reeded or does it look odd? Examine the surfaces under strong light. Is there doubling? Is the strike clean and strong, and if you think you found something unusual, don't guess. Submit it to a grading service. Let the professionals verify it. Once certified, that little dime becomes more than a coin. It becomes a documented piece of numismatic history. Now, you've been waiting for it, and I won't keep you in suspense any longer. There is a known specimen of a 1977 Roosevelt dime, verified to be in exceptional condition, combined with a rare off-metal strike error, authenticated and graded at an elite level. This coin didn't just break expectations, it shattered them, and this single 1977 Roosevelt dime has been valued at an extraordinary $95,000. Yes. You heard that right. $95,000, all for a coin that fits in the palm of your hand. Something that you might have tossed into a fountain for good luck or slid across a counter without a second thought. That's the magic of coin collecting. That's the thrill of numismatics. And that's why we do what we do. Today, we're going on a deep dive into the 1985 Roosevelt dime. We're talking mint marks, minting errors, collector secrets, and how one dime in particular has become a white whale for collectors, one so rare, so pristine, and so mysterious that it's been valued at a jaw-dropping price. And trust me, you'll want to stick around until the very end, because we're going to reveal just how much that little dime is worth. Spoiler alert, it's a lot. Let's rewind the clock to 1985. Ronald Reagan is in the White House. The Cold War is still simmering. Coca-Cola just made the infamous New Coke blunder. Michael Jordan is a rookie. And across the United States, in the mints of Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, tens of millions of coins are being struck every single day, including the Roosevelt dime. Now, let's start with some basics. The Roosevelt dime has been in circulation since 1946, following the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. His impact was so significant, and his support of the March of Dimes so iconic, that his profile was chosen for the 10-cent coin as a tribute. By 1985, the coin's design hadn't changed much. On the obverse, you have Roosevelt's portrait facing left. On the reverse, you'll see a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. It's simple. It's clean. And it's everywhere, but not all 1985 dimes are created equal. Here's where things get interesting. In 1985, Roosevelt dimes were minted in 3 different places: Philadelphia, represented by the P mint mark; Denver, represented by the D mint mark; San Francisco, represented by the S mint mark. Mostly for proof coins, the mint mark can be found just above the date on the obverse, front, of the coin. Now, the vast majority of these dimes are common. But in the world of coin collecting, there are always exceptions, and those exceptions are where the real value lies. So, what makes a 1985 dime valuable? Let's break it down into the things serious collectors look for. First, condition. This is always the first step in determining a coin's value. If your dime is scratched up, discolored, or worn down from decades of use, it's probably only worth face value. But if you find a 1985 dime in mint state condition, especially graded MS65, MS67, or higher, its value can increase significantly. Coins with full bands on the torch on the reverse are particularly desirable. The sharper the detail, the higher the price. Second, minting errors. Now this is where things start getting juicy. Sometimes the minting process doesn't go exactly as planned. A misaligned die, a double strike, or a wrong planchet error can create a one-of-a-kind coin that collectors will pay big money for. Let's look at a few examples. Off-center strikes. The coin is misaligned during the strike, leaving part of the design missing. Clipped planchets. A portion of the coin's edge is missing due to a cutting error. Double die. The coin was struck twice slightly out of alignment, causing doubled letters or numbers, wrong planchet, a dime mistakenly struck on a penny or foreign coin blank. Imagine a silver-colored dime that weighs like a cent? That's a red flag, and possibly a goldmine. Third, and very rare, proof errors. Proof coins, produced at the San Francisco Mint, are supposed to be flawless. They're struck with polished dies on special planchets and packaged in sets for collectors. But every once in a while, something goes wrong. A proof coin gets released into circulation. Or worse, a proof coin has a strike error. That's when things get crazy. A 1985 Roosevelt dime with a deep cameo finish and an unusual mint flaw could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands. Fourth, rarity plus demand. When you combine a rare error with perfect condition and a mint mark from a specific facility, it creates a collector's dream. The fewer of a coin that exist, the more people will pay to own one. So how do you find one of these high-value dimes? Simple. Start looking, check your change. Go through coin rolls from the bank. Ask your grandparents if they've got any old coin jars collecting dust. Every 1985 dime you come across should be examined closely. Here's what you'll want to do: use a coin scale. A standard Roosevelt dime weighs about 2.27 grams. If your dime weighs significantly more or less, it could be an error coin struck on the wrong planchet. Get a magnifier or coin loop. Check for doubling on letters or numbers. Look closely at the mint mark and date, examine the edges. Is the reading intact? Any odd flattening or clipping? Look at the reverse torch. Do the vertical bands show full detail, or are they flat and worn? A coin with full bands can skyrocket in value. Most importantly, check for odd colors or materials. If the coin looks like it's made of a different metal, maybe copper-toned or silvery without a clad layer, you might be holding something very rare. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Among the 1985 Roosevelt dimes in existence, there is one that stands above the rest. It's not just in pristine condition. It's not just a mint state coin. It carries a highly unusual mint error, verified by grading experts, authenticated by professionals, and coveted by collectors. That single coin, tiny, shiny, and unassuming, has been valued at a staggering $90,000. Yes. $90,000 for a single dime. That's more than some people make in 2 or 3 years. That's a brand new luxury SUV. That's a once-in-a-lifetime vacation. That's the kind of discovery that keeps coin hunters digging, searching, and inspecting every piece of change that passes through their hands. And here's the best part: you don't need a metal detector. You don't need a treasure map. You just need a sharp eye, a little patience, and the curiosity to wonder, could this be the one?